In today's News Daily video, I'll be speaking about the latest reports out from Spain in regards to Thomas Lemar from Atletico Madrid. I'll be speaking about the latest surrounding Moussa Dembele from Lyon, and I have some news to let you guys know about. I'll be speaking about Reece James and the player being close to signing a new 5-year extension, and to end things, I'll speak about Mark Guehi and Tariq Uwaki and their next potential loan destinations. I'm EFC, this is Blue Lions TV, and if you do like today's video, smash that like button, help me get over 1,500 likes. And boys, on that point, we start with the first story for today, and I want to talk about Moussa Dembele and let you guys know some of the news I've been hearing about this transfer. Now, I'm going to start off by talking about the media reports in regards to this story, and they're suggesting that Lyon don't want to sell Dembele in this period. That's news that we already know. We already know that they've turned down a 34 million bid from us for Dembele, but reports suggest that the club are not giving up on the player. Frank Lampard really wants him, and even though Lyon did release a very public statement stating that they won't be selling Dembele in this period, money talks. Money talks and money will always talk. And if you're asking me, what Lyon are really saying is how bad do you really want Moussa Dembele? With rumours floating around suggesting that he may cost up to £54 million, it seems like we're going to have to spend a lot of money to sign the player if Frank really wants him. Now you guys, from this point on, I'm going to let you know about the news I heard late last night in regards to this player, and the news I'm hearing is the club and Dembele's reps have already agreed contract terms. Now this is big news. They've agreed contract terms, but before people start to get excited, this doesn't necessarily mean that this transfer is still 100% guaranteed. And I'm going to give you guys a brief example of a story that happened last season between Werner and Bayern Munich. Now, Bayern Munich already agreed contract terms with Werner last summer. However, the deal did not get completed in the end. Werner was naturally skeptical in regards to how much game time he's going to get at Bayern Munich, not when they have Lewandowski. And in the end, even though both clubs had agreed to terms, nothing followed through in the end. Now, this is standard procedure in football. By now, us fans shouldn't get unnecessarily gassed and excited whenever we hear news like this, but it is a positive sign. This does tell us that if Dembele does put pressure on Lyon, because again, he has agreed contract terms with us, if he puts pressure on Lyon and he tells them, I really want to go, well then it comes down to us and how much we're willing to fork out the money to sign the player. So in that sense, this really is a great pressure tactic, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens in the next few weeks. Now, I'll give my thoughts and opinions, and out of Timo Werner and Moussa Dembele, who would I prefer to sign for the club? Now, a reality is, if you do sign Werner, you need to play this guy first team, because Werner has been very patient with his career, because he's waiting for the right opportunity to get that guaranteed consistent first team football. That's why he's turned down moves to Bayern Munich and Liverpool already, and even though he does have a 50 million release clause, which is about £42 million, he can't sign the player until the summer periods. So when compared to Moussa Dembele, it does kind of make some sense, because with Dembele, with reports suggesting that the club will see him as a backup striker to Tammy, well, for Moussa to agree terms, I guess he's comfortable with that type of game time. I'm also curious about how we can actually get this deal done for Moussa Dembele. I've always wondered why Lyon don't want Giroud or Michy Batshuayi. It feels like maybe Michy going to Lyon in return for Dembele, that could be something that really works out for both clubs. You know, Michy is a great striker in his own aspects, but I feel like this level he's playing at right now, he's not really ready for it. And it's not his fault, because over the past few seasons, he's lacked that consistency with his game time because of all the loans he's having left, right and centre. I don't understand why Lyon aren't too interested in Olivier Giroud or Michy Batshuayi. It feels like if you were to complete this deal by offering one of those two players plus money for the player, well, that seems like a very fair deal, especially if Michy was offered in return, because realistically, he's not going to get too much game time. With the price that Palace want for Zaha, it's way too much money. No club wants to spend anywhere near that amount, so it feels like a waste of time to try and have Michy moving to Crystal Palace. Instead, why not offer him to Lyon? That way he gets great game time until the end of the season, we get Moussa Dembele in return, and Lyon get the money to spend the funds on the players they need in future windows. It works in everyone's favour. Let's cross our fingers and hope that's the case, boys. But on that point, we move on to the second story for today, and that's in regards to Thomas Lemar from Atletico Madrid and a potential loan move this window. Now, this story has been brought to you guys by the Evening Standard, and they're stating that the club have been holding talks with Atletico Madrid in regards to a potential loan move for Thomas Lemar. Now, his loan fee would cost up to 50 million, and at the end of that deal, there would be an option to buy at 50 million for the end of the season. We do need offensive reinforcement for this window, and could Thomas Lemar be the perfect stop quality gap replacement we need? From this point on, I'm going to give my thoughts and opinions on this piece of news. Now, I'll mention Zaha very briefly. It came out last night that Bayern Munich actually placed a loan bid for Wilfried Zaha. Of course, Crystal Palace turned them down easily, and from this point on, it's really just painting the picture that Zaha most likely won't be leaving Crystal Palace. So in that regards, obviously, it makes sense to turn to other options, and when it comes to Thomas Lemar, could he be the best possible loan signing to get? You know what? Lemar could have that little bit of X factor that this team needs until the season ends. Now, yeah, I understand that Lemar hasn't exactly lit the world on fire at Atletico Madrid, but it's the same thing for João Felix, with Simeone reported to have said that he's been a bit disappointed in Felix and his mentality since he signed for Atletico, and with reports suggesting that Felix is also feeling like he made a mistake signing for Atletico Madrid. The reason why I'm saying this is to paint the picture that even though Lemar hasn't necessarily performed to his very best levels for Atletico Madrid, that doesn't mean that he's a bad player. If you look at all the attacking players that Atleti have signed over the past few seasons, well, nearly 90% of these guys have struggled. And I think the major reason for this comes down to Simeone's system. It's a little bit dated. It's a bit similar to what I used to see 5-6 years ago. And even though I used to love watching Simeone with that early Atletico Madrid team, I mean, the passion, the fire, the hunger this team had, I don't think I've seen another team in recent history with that same type of intensity and just, never say die attitude that Simeone's Atletico Madrid team had when they won the league. But yeah, even though he has struggled, is it really acceptable to have 0 goals and assists at this stage of the season? For me, I personally still sympathise, and I really feel that if we could sign Lemar on loan as a stopgap replacement until the summer window opens, then I feel like he could really have a great boost and benefit to the team. Now, the thing about Thomas Lemar is that we're all thinking of him playing down the left-hand side, but really his best position is down that right-hand side, where he can cut inside with his left foot, and we know in our team, the right-hand side is an area we need a player to have a left foot. It's as simple as that. Lemar has that, and Lemar has those classic playmaking abilities that he's not going to be necessarily able to showcase for Atletico Madrid. With how we play, with how fluid we are in the final third, with how we have players moving between the lines, well, I feel with our tactical setup, this could really reinvigorate Lemar, who still is a great player, has a big reputation back in France, is a French international, and with a loan fee up to 5 million, I mean, that's quite a big bargain. Recently, we have profited from deals like this, most notably with Kovacic, and let's say, for example, we sign Lemar on loan, he performs exceedingly well, we then complete the signing of the player at the end of the season. Well, that means that in the summer, all we have to focus on is Jadon Sancho. Now, I'm not trying to say that Lemar was on my list, of course not, but of course, I think as fans, we have to accept and understand that in January, it's very hard to get the first option players you want. So a lot of times it comes down to relying on your scouting department and looking for the best possible deals you can get in this window. And if you're telling me that Lemar's 5 million and he can help us with his playmaking abilities, which maybe this team does lack a tiny bit, well, I feel like he could be a very astute and sensible signing. Now, you guys in the comment section below, give me your thoughts and opinions. Would you like to see Thomas Lemar signing on loan until the end of the season? Or do you feel like the club can still sign guys like Sancho, Werner, Zaha, etc, etc? Let me know in the comment section below. Now, on that point, we move on to the third story for today, and that's in regards to Reece James and contract extension talks. Now, this is coming out from the Telegraph, and they're suggesting that Reece is close to finalising a new 5-year deal that's going to tie him down to this club for the next foreseeable future. It's great news to hear. Reece is actually hoping to get a contract of up to 120k per week, and with 2 goals and 2 assists in 17 games, and when it comes to assists, We all know that Reece should have at least 5 or 6 because he's really put in some fantastic balls and delivery over his 17 appearances. Are these guys being a bit too greedy for asking for everything now, especially when the club have taken a gamble to give these guys the opportunity to play? Now for me, of course, I don't think this is the case. Over the past 10 years or ever since Roman's taken over, I've seen us play with a lot of right backs. But Reece James, in only his 17 games he's played for us, has shown in those games that he's one of the best right backs I've seen since Roman's taken over. It's crazy to think that he's only 19 years old. He's only going to get better, stronger, more accurate, more technical. It's incredible to think about. We've spent a lot more money on much worse players, so 120k per week to keep Reece is absolutely nothing to me, and I hope it gets done real soon. And at that point, we end with the final story for today, and that's in regards to the loan destinations for 2 academy players. Now, we'll start with Mark Guéhi. Mark Guéhi is close to signing for Swansea City on an 18-month loan. The reason for this is because Swansea are now managed by Steve Cooper, who used to be Guéhi's under-17 England manager. Now with Swansea right now, they're 6th and they're hoping to get promoted to the Premier League. They've introduced a lot of younger players into the team and it seems like they're really starting to benefit now from going for a younger approach. So in that sense, Guéhi is leaving a situation at the club right now, which is a bit similar. So at this point in time, Guéhi is in a pretty familiar situation where, you know, both clubs in us and Swansea do have similar footballing ambitions. So in that sense, I feel like an 18-month loan move could be the best possible move for Guéhi. Swansea's a great town. I've been there myself and I actually saw some of the Swansea City players in the club at one time. So I feel Guéhi, you're going to have a lot of fun in that city. But the only thing I warn you about is to not tell any club secrets to any taxi drivers, because when I was in Swansea, this one taxi driver literally baited out every single thing happening at Swansea. And that's because like the chairman, the players, and that was because the chairman and the players would actually catch his cab. So it was quite funny in that sense. But again, you guys, I'm not a snitch. I'm just keeping it to myself. And from this point on, we do move on to Tariq Ubaki, and it seems like he's close to signing on loan for Derby County. Now with Tariq, he is 20 years old. He is respected by a lot of people at the club, and he only recently signed a new contract himself, but he does need game time. He's a ball-winning midfield player with technique. He could be one of those surprise players that, depending on how hard they work and the right luck and opportunities that come in their way, who knows what's going to happen. But boys, on that note, I'm going to wrap things up and keep things moving. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment and subscribe. I'm the EFC. This is Blue Lions TV. I'll see you guys in a bit.